Right, imagine this. You walk out of the IELTS speaking test thinking, yeah, I nailed that. Only to get your results and find out you've scored a 5 in speaking. Bit of a gut punch, right? But here's the thing. Most learners don't actually know what makes the difference between a band 5 and a band 9. And that's exactly what we're sorting out today. Because in this video, I'm going to show you 3 answers to the same IELTS speaking part 3 question. 1 band 5, 1 band 7, and 1 band 9. So you can see the difference, hear the difference, and most importantly, start sounding like the band 9 version yourself. If you're new to this face, I'm Charlie, host of the British English podcast, and I'm a bit of a culture vulture, advanced vocab nerd, and more recently, pronunciation as well, really. But today, we're looking at the IELTS exam because I know a lot of you are aiming for that band 7.5 or higher. And trust me, once you know what examiners are actually listening for, it becomes a lot easier to stop guessing and start improving. So let's get into the question. So if the examiner was to ask, why is education important for a society? Let's start with the band 5 answer and keep your ears open for hesitation, vague vocab, and repetition. Okay? So here's what a band 5 speaker might say. I think education is really important for a country or society. It's not just about learning maths or history. It also helps people learn how to think and solve problems in life. If people go to school and learn, they can make better choices. Maybe get a good job and also help the community. So yeah, education is not only for work, but also for making people better and more fair, I guess. All right, so not terrible, but not a 7 either. Let's break that down a bit later. Now, here's what a band 7 answer sounds like to the question, why is education important for a society? I believe education plays a really big role in any society. It's not just about learning basic things like maths or history. It also teaches people how to think more deeply and solve problems in different situations. When people are educated, they usually make smarter choices in their life and can also help improve their communities. So, yeah, I think education isn't only about finding a good job, but it also helps create a more fair and thoughtful society overall. Okay, it's getting better, right? But it's still, in my opinion, a bit safe. It's definitely a lot smoother and better structured and clearer. So now let's listen to the band 9 version. And this one sounds like a native speaker giving a thoughtful, well-structured answer, but without trying too hard. And I think that's really important to point out, without trying too hard. Okay, so they might say, well, I'd say education is at the heart of any functioning society, really. It goes far beyond learning times tables or memorizing historical dates. It's about giving people the tools to think critically, solve problems, and ultimately contribute to something bigger than themselves. Because when people are educated, they tend to make better decisions, right? Not just for their careers, but also for their communities. So yeah, it's not just about getting a job. It's about creating a more thoughtful, balanced, and fair society. Right. Okay. So that's where we're aiming to get you. And look, it's not about sounding posh or overly academic. It's about being natural, fluent, and knowing how to express your ideas with precision and confidence. Now, if you're thinking, okay, Charlie, this is brilliant for this one question, but what about other IELTS questions that come up? Well, I've got you covered. I've put together a free PDF guide with 5 more IELTS speaking part 3 questions, just like this one. And I break down what a band 5, band 7 and band 9 answer looks like for each one. And there are also mini exercises in there to help you upgrade your own answers and avoid the mistakes most learners make. It's completely free, and you can grab it by scanning the QR code on screen right now, clicking the link in the description box or the pinned comment below, and that will take you to this screen. Fill in your name and email to sign up to my mailing list so I can send you this PDF guide with 5 more IELTS speaking part 3 questions straight to your email inbox. So if you're serious about boosting your IELTS speaking score, don't skip that. It's really useful, and it will give you loads of real examples and training to work with. Okay, now let's look at the band 5 response. So myself as the speaker, I get the general idea across, which is great, and I show that I understand the question, and I give an answer that's kind of relevant. But the problem is it's all a bit shaky. There's a lot of hesitation, like, I guess, which tells the examiner that I'm struggling to find the right words or organize my ideas. And that lowers the fluency and coherence score. Then there's the vocabulary. It's very limited. Words like important, good job, better, help the community. They're all fine, but they're not showing much range or precision. And some of the phrases don't quite land. For example, I think I said, education makes people better and more fair. It's a bit vague, right? And more fair, I think that should really be fairer. So at this level, we can say the ideas are there, sure, but I don't really have the tools to express myself clearly or confidently. So if you're at band 5 right now, that's okay. It means your next step is to work on replacing the ums, ers, and likes with a pause. Pausing is not going to necessarily get you any more marks, but if you can swap those filler words with a pause, it makes you more respectable, more profound, and makes people think you are in command of your communication skills. So use the power of a pause, within reason. Yes. Next thing I'd like to say is to learn topic-specific collocations, like pursue higher education, or gain essential skills, or foster critical thinking. And this is a big portion of IELTS preparation, enhancing your vocabulary. But if you do it in a smart way, then it will be more manageable. And one way that I consider to be a smart way is to tackle topic-based vocabulary. So find resources around a specific topic. Build around that with those phrases you hear. And that way, with speaking practice, you'll start to connect the topic with that kind of vocabulary. And if you want to save time and energy and have fun with this part, then you might want to check out my IELTS speaking course, which is incredibly thorough. It took me a very long time. And you can check that out now by, again, using the QR code on screen, or finding the link in the description box, or simply going to thebritishenglishpodcast.com/IELTS. Okay, on to the next pointer around the band 5 answer. And this is to get comfortable using basic connectors like because, so, and but also. These will help create smoother flow. But now let's move on to the Band 7 answer. This one's noticeably stronger. It flows much more. It's more smooth. The grammar is generally accurate, and the vocabulary has improved. Phrases like think more deeply and thoughtful society, they're a nice step up, but it's still not quite at that natural native like level. The language is a bit safe, really, like a really big role, which is understandable, but doesn't wow the examiner. And I want to stress, it's not about being native. It's about giving the examiner the understanding that you have a good vocabulary. Like a native person can get a 5 if they don't know how to answer an IELTS exam, because you've only got a certain amount of time to impress your examiner. And that's what we want to do. We want to take every chance we get to show them our full range of vocabulary. Because you're going in there and answering a few questions, but you've got loads of vocabulary around other topics that they haven't got the chance to ask you about, because they haven't got, years to assess your language. So it's your job to make the most out of a small opportunity, basically. And what I was saying, a native could well fudge that up. They could well not take the opportunity if they don't know how to manipulate the conversation in a way that, really shows how good they are at answering something like this. So in the Band 7 one, it was all a bit safe and didn't wow the examiner. Also, there's less variation in sentence structure. Most of the ideas follow the same rhythm. Education does this. Education helps that. Education is important because. It's not all bad, but at Band 7, the way to push forward is to show more flexibility in how you express yourself. So use conditionals, passive voice, relative clauses, anything that naturally expands your range. For example, if people are given the opportunity to study, they're more likely to contribute positively to society. That kind of sentence shows confidence with grammar and content. So Band 7 is strong, but it still feels a bit stiff and limited. You want your answer to sound like you're actually having a conversation with the examiner, especially in part 3 of the speaking exam, and that you're not reciting a pre-learned script, which I have experienced a few learners trying to do in the past. And I really, really don't recommend learning an answer verbatim, meaning word for word. Your exam nerves will likely get the better of you on the day, and you just don't know exactly what they're going to ask you. So exposing yourself to these kind of videos, highlighting the difference between the bands is a great start. And building topic-specific vocab, as I mentioned earlier, but also practicing, right? Getting active by speaking out loud. And if you find it tricky to begin with, a good first step might be to just write your answer out. You have a bit more time to think about it, write it out, then try to express yourself, not by reading it or memorizing what you wrote, but by holding on to the message within your answer and just seeing how it comes out when you start speaking. And record yourself, analyze the strengths and weaknesses, and go again. But let's go on to the analysis of the Band 9 answer. So this is where everything clicks. It sounds natural, fluent, and thoughtful. There's zero hesitation, really. And the way I come across actually sounds like I've got an opinion, which is really important in part 3. The vocabulary is precise and idiomatic occasionally, using phrases like at the heart of a functioning society. That's what I said, at the heart of a functioning society, or goes far beyond, or tools to think critically, or even contribute to something bigger than themselves. Yeah, that was what I said. So these expressions aren't just impressive, they're meaningful. They're really well connected to my argument, and they help paint a picture and show depth of thought. Plus, the sentence structures are varied in a lovely way. We had a rhetorical opener, which was, well, I'd say, blah, 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 which is so useful because it buys you time to think of what you're actually going to say. It's what natives do, so it sounds really natural. And because it's natural, it helps build that natural rhythm in a sentence. It brings a bit of melody if you listen to it. So I said, well, I'd say education is at the heart of any functioning society, really. Do you hear that melody? And then compare that with the more basic one, which I think education is at the heart of any functioning society, really. I don't know if I'm getting too obsessive, but it makes it feel lived, right? Well, I'd say blah, 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 blah. It's just, it gives a little bit more up and down. And then there's this little beauty, not just for their careers, but also for their communities, right? I said that phrase or that full clause. That's what's called a parallel structure. It's when both sides of the sentence follow the same pattern. So we've got not just for their noun, but also for their noun. And this kind of symmetry gives your speech a natural rhythm, which makes it way easier to follow. And let's be honest, just makes it sound better. It sounds more polished, more thoughtful, and it's subtle, right? You're not showing off, but it tells the examiner, I know how to structure an idea in English in a way that flows. I mean, compare it with a flatter version. Education helps people get a job, and it helps communities too. I mean, that's fine, but it doesn't have the same snap to it. The Band 9 version feels more considered and more lived, like you're used to expressing your ideas like that in your everyday life. Not just for their careers, but also for their communities. It's lovely, right? Okay, now let's talk about the subtle use of modal verbs or verbs that show possibility, probability, habits. That's it, right? That sort of thing. So let's take a phrase from the Band 9 answer. They tend to make better decisions, right? They tend to make better decisions. Now that might sound simple, but it's doing a lot of heavy lifting. So if the speaker had just said they make better decisions, it would sound like a guarantee, like everyone with an education automatically makes great life choices. And that's a bit too black and white. Life is complex and nuanced. So with the modal tend, they tend to, it softens the claim. It says this usually happens, but not always. And that's the kind of nuance that examiners love. You're showing that you can express your ideas in a way that's realistic and not just grammatically correct. Plus, it's more British. We love a bit of subtlety. Indirect culture, right? We don't say this is always the case. We say, well, it tends to be the case. It's polite, it's balanced and non-committal. Very British. And again, all of this tells the examiner this speaker isn't just fluent, they're confident, nuanced and fully in control of the language. So here's the big takeaway. Band 9 doesn't mean using long words or complex grammar for the sake of it. It really means communicating your ideas naturally with precision, variety, and flow. And honestly, the difference between a 7 and a 9, it's not that big. Band 9 isn't only for academic, intellectual people, because the exam is assessing how fluent you are, and fluency is about effectively communicating an idea, right? So I'd say nuance is one of the biggest nuts to crack, rather than going out there and swallowing a dictionary. But, definitely don't do that. It's likely to cause suffocation, probably. But yeah, if you enjoyed that, make sure you grab the free PDF below with 5 more questions full of the breakdowns and exercises to help you level up to that band 9. And give the video a like if it helped. My name is Charlie, and subscribe to the British English Podcast YouTube channel if you want more natural British English and IELTS tips. Oh, and comment saying what topic you'd like me to focus on in my next IELTS video. Yeah, that'd be very useful for me and incredibly helpful for you if you like this kind of content, right? But if you just want to keep watching YouTube and more IELTS speaking skills videos, check out this next video on screen right now. It's all about how to answer questions on hobbies, with loads of great phrases in there to help you sound more confident straight away. So if you click that right now, I'll see you in that one. Bye.